Hey, YOBRONATION. Wow, that was a weird intro. Welcome back to the Best of the Best Countdown, episode number 12, and I am talking about the best of the best for the year 2020. Well, maybe in my own head. Welcome back to the channel. I am Zach, your host here on the YOBRONATION YouTube channel. Welcome. The new look, the new logo, the new layout for the Best of the Best Countdown. How's everyone doing on this Friday afternoon? Yeah, it's about noon. But how is everybody? I'm having a spectacular day myself, and as I start to record, I get a message from Susie. So, little house business before I start counting down. One, thank God 2020's over, even though 2021 has already started to be crazy. But first off, check out the new Twitter account. The link down below. It's at YOBRONATION. It's on Twitter. I only have one follower so far. I keep getting followers on the old one, which you're more than welcome to still go there. But the link to the new one is down in the description below. Go check out our Facebook group on Facebook. It's actually growing rather nicely. So, real quick, as you know, indie wrestling's kind of been at a standstill for the last year. One of the people who joined me a lot on this channel, my buddy Jake, is finally going back to wrestle. Finally. So I want you guys to go, if you're in the Florida area or if you're going to be traveling to Florida, I haven't even told him I'm going to do this, but go check him out. Impact Pro Wrestling Awakened. That is the night before the Royal Rumble, January 30th, 2021 in Valparaiso, Florida. I believe I pronounced that right. Doors open at 6:30, bell time at 7:30 p.m. their time. That'd be 8:30 our time here in the Midwest. Go check it out. Support Jake if you're in that area and you just want to see some wrestling in person. But please, please, please remember to wear your mask and social distance and bring some hand sanitizer or something just to keep your hands clean. But Jake, he's on his way to challenging for the championship, trying to be the man. Go check out the Hitman. Impact Pro Wrestling Awakened, January 30th, 2021 in Valparaiso, Florida. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that from the area. I apologize, but go check it out. Support our man Jake there. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead. Let's get into this now. This is my list. This is based upon who I think was the best of the year. There will probably some people who you think should be higher, some people who you think should be lower. You probably will think there's some people who should have been on there, some people who shouldn't be on there. The list consists of 10, but I also decided to expand my honorable mentions a little bit. So I'm going to do all the honorable mentions first. Start with those. I have 5 of them because it was really, I'm not going to lie, I started out with a list of 20, and I'm not going to lie, it was hard to whittle it down. So I decided, you know what, these 5 are definitely worth mentioning. They had a good year. Again, this is my list. And with the exception of probably the top 3 or 4, to me, there's really no, like, well, this one's definitely the 10th best, or this one's definitely 8th best. It's kind of just where it lies. I'll be honest. But those top 4 or 5 definitely belong to be in that top 5 of the year. So, again, this is just my list. But like I said, let's start with the honorable mentions. Let's start there. Our first honorable mention, definitely Kenta. After leaving WWE and, you know, he returned to New Japan last year, made a big impact right away. I believe it was Wrestle Kingdom. He's had a decent year. COVID obviously affected things, but he did end up winning that briefcase for a shot at the U.S. Championship, which Jon Moxley's still over here, so eventually we're going to get that. But I had to put my boy Kenta. And sadly, he's the only guy from New Japan I actually hit this list. I'm not saying Jay White ain't had a good year. I'm not saying Will Ospreay didn't have a decent year. There's guys there who had a good year, but honestly, I don't watch a lot of New Japan. I really actually should start watching more. But out of the people I have seen, Kenta is the one that I think has had the best year. Joining the Bullet Club, basically kind of being like one of the leaders. He's had a fantastic year. I'll just leave it at that. Sami Zayn, my God, this man started the year as just a manager. He then won the Intercontinental Championship, albeit in a handicap match back at Elimination Chamber. They kind of billed him as a meh type guy. Had a good title defense in what was sadly a short match at WrestleMania, a weird WrestleMania. Then, of course, he took that hiatus back. But what really has made Sami great this year is once he came back from that hiatus, the whole I'm the real Intercontinental Champion, having that terrific ladder match. His promo work has been great. Even his shirts have been great. I'm Sami Zayn. And it's like a kid wrote it. Like, it's brilliant. And he's been brilliant. Now he's lost the title, but he's still so freaking good. I had to at least mention Sami. I had to at least mention him as an honorable mention. So Sami Zayn has definitely been an MVP this year. HIKARU Shida. She has probably been the standout in AEW as far as the women's division this year. I feel like had Chris Statlander not got injured, had Britt Baker not been injured, I feel like they would have been standouts this year. And Britt, she's been great. Even when she was hurt, her stuff with Reba, Rebel, whatever you call her, has been great. But HIKARU Shida has been fantastic. The reason she didn't make the main list, she ain't really had a lot of work this year. She spent a lot of time just kind of sitting and watching. Because, let's be honest, AEW's not put a lot of focus on their women's division. They really, really haven't. They're starting to a little bit, with them bringing in the NWA Women's Championship, bringing in Thunder Rosa and others. Serena Deeb has been fantastic this year, but I still think HIKARU has been the best out of all of the women. Her matches with Nyla Rose this year have both been really great, but outside of that, she's not done a lot. But I think she's done enough to at least deserve to be in my honorable mentions. Here's another one. I really believe Io Shirai has been a standout with NXT this year. But I also feel like her women's title run hasn't been great, but her in-ring work when she is working is fantastic. So I had to at least make Io an honorable mention on this list. I think she's been great. But I do feel like maybe her title run's been a little lackluster at times. I don't feel like there's been as much of an emphasis on her as there should be, as she deserves. But her in-ring work is great. There's no denying the matches she has had have been fantastic. So she definitely has earned an honorable mention here. And finally, the last for my honorable mentions. Adam Cole, baby. Started the year out as the NXT champ. Has put on great television matches. Everything was going great till the pandemic happened, and we didn't see him quite a bit. But then he had that parking lot brawl back at TakeOver in Your House, which, I mean, wasn't the best, but he made it serviceable. He made it good. And then, just his matchups that he's had this year. And then even after he lost, the fact that he could take Pat McAfee, who has never wrestled a professional match in his life, and make it look as good as he did. And then, of course, War Games happened. And Adam Cole has been consistent. And he put over Brody Lee Jr. in a untelevised matchup at a hotel room just a few weeks ago. So the man definitely makes this honorable mention list without a doubt. He is an MVP for sure. So that is my honorable mentions. Now, before I jump into the main list, number 1 overall, not on this list, but he is definitely number 1 overall, Mr. Brodie Lee. I'm not putting him on the list, the official list, because I don't know, I feel like that'd be cliche. And it'd probably even be a bit of a slap to the face of Brodie Lee, because I feel like he'd be a man who would want to earn his place onto the list. And I'm not going to say he didn't earn a place on the list. He would definitely have been on my top 10 list, you know, coming from WWE. And, you know, coming in as the Exalted One in AEW in a time when he could have said, I just want to stay home. You know, wanting to have the big pop, because he would have had a huge pop. But he came when they were in empty arenas. And the man made the Dark Order go from being laughable to like, oh shit, the Dark Order is actually kind of entertaining. His backstage stuff on on Being the Elite has been fantastic. It was fantastic. You saw another side of him. His impersonating Vince McMahon. You know, why don't you see me eating? Like, him as the Mr. Brodie Lee character has been fantastic. Just fantastic. And it's awesome. I've loved it. I've loved seeing him as the character. And then beating Cody, the way that he beat Cody to become the TNT champion, albeit the title run was short-lived, but it was an injury, so I get it now. And that dog collar match in which he lost the title. What a hell of a way to have a last match. It was a brilliant match. And, you know, his passing definitely makes it to where I want to put him number 1. But he is number 1 above everyone else. Not just as the wrestler, but from everything that I've heard as a man, as a father. I aspire to be the type of father Brodie Lee was. That is my New Year's resolution. You know, I posted the video, the rebranding video, and I posted the New Year video for the podcast. And I was like, I just want to get fit, in better shape now after his passing. And after hearing all these wonderful stories and just the overall reaction on Twitter, my New Year's resolution is to be half of the father, the friend, the human, the husband that Brodie Lee was. That is my New Year's resolution this year. And he is number 1 with a bullet on this list. So that is where it falls with Brodie Lee. I did purchase one of his Exalted in Heaven t-shirts. And I did so mainly because of the fact, one, I just wanted something to remember the guy. But mainly because AEW is taking all the proceeds and they are giving all of those proceeds to the family of Brodie Lee, to his wife Amanda and his kids. So if you haven't done so already, go buy a t-shirt. Go get that shirt. It's about $30, but it's worth it. It's a little bit more if you're a plus size guy like myself. I had to get a little bit of a bigger shirt, pay a few extra bucks, but it's so worth it. So I'm ready for that shirt to come in so I can wear it and be on air with it. So, but yeah, that is go to AEWshop.com and go get that shirt if you haven't already. But yeah, Brodie Lee, number 1. All right, so to the list itself, like I said, this is my list. It's not no particular order for sure. I mean, I have it separated, the top 5, the bottom 5, the top 5, but so let's start with my number 10, I suppose. Number 10 for the best of 2020. I'm starting with the boss. I'm talking Sasha Banks. Now, yeah, she could definitely have been higher on this list just with her work alone with Bayley this year. This whole pandemic happening, and I'll talk more about this with Bayley later. Sasha and Bayley have been the glue of WWE. There for the longest time, they were on SmackDown. They were on Raw. They were on NXT, winning championships, winning matches on NXT. They were the tag team champions. She's been... This year alone, Sasha has held all 3 titles for the women in WWE. In just this year alone. She was Raw Women's Champion for a cup of coffee. She was the Tag Team Champion. She ultimately ended up being the Women's Champ on SmackDown and has finally successfully defended that championship on multiple occasions. She's been putting on great matches. She had the match with Io Shirai. She had the matches with Bayley this year. She has been the MVP of SmackDown this year. The only person I honestly think is better would have been Bayley. And I'll have my reasons why later. But Sasha, no doubt in my mind, she is a standout this year for the WWE. Just because the fact, one, she stuck around, and 2, she has been on her A game this year. The blueprint, no doubt, was the blueprint for SmackDown. I have no doubt. Sasha's in-ring work, brilliant this year. Honest to God, brilliant this year. I honestly forgot to take off of that. So, I don't know. Let me know where you think Sasha should fall. I know a lot of people are going to say, Zach, she should be higher. And yeah, you might be right. She maybe should be higher, but I just threw her on there. It was hard. This list was hard to make. I'm not going to lie to you. It was a hard list to make. Number 9, jumping in. Number 9, Cody Rhodes, whatever you want to call him. In the year of 2020, Cody was one of the best. There was very few in AEW you could say was complete standouts. Cody, with just his, okay. At first, Cody winning the TNT title, I was like, man, I don't know. I don't think Cody, I saw it coming from a mile away. But he made Lance Archer look fantastic in that match. Cody used that title to make people look good this year. People like Orange Cassidy. People like Jungle Boy, and countless others. Lance Archer. He used that championship to put people over, bringing in people like Warhorse, so many people who ended up with contracts because they had a match with him. He was great with that, And then when you would get to his, pay-per-view matchups, he was great. So Cody may not have been a world champion, may not have been main eventing pay-per-views this year, but Cody was able to take something that was brand new and make it super prestigious. Doing the open challenges every week. Something akin to what John Cena did with the U.S. title years ago. Letting younger talent come in, winning, but when winning, putting them over and making them look like $1 million. Just on that merit alone, Cody is definitely on this list for the best of 2020, without a doubt. And then you look at what he's doing as, one of the executive VPs, helping bring in more talent, scouting talent. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the possible Shaq thing. And I'm also putting him on the list for 2020 because he's going to become a dad this year. He's going to become a dad. And that there alone is best of 2020 material. So, moving on. I'm not going to, go super crazy over all these people. Moving on to number 8. Number 8 on this list. And this, I was close. I was teetering if he was going to be on the honorable mention list or if I was going to put him on the main list. But I cannot discount what Randy Orton did this year. Randy Orton has had kind of like a career renaissance this year. Started at the Rumble when Edge returned and, he had that good moment there. leading up to WrestleMania. It was probably the best part of the build, him and Edge. A lot of people didn't really like the match at WrestleMania, but I thought it was really good. Yeah, it was long. They could probably shaved like 10 minutes off, but he was great with that. And then he started all this stuff with the Legends, and then him and Edge having the greatest wrestling match of all time. And he won that. And it was legitimately a fantastic match. And then he goes on to the summer, has his, stuff with Drew, which ended up being drawn out a little bit, sure. But then he does win the championship at Hell in a Cell in a good match. So he's able to become WWE champion again this year. I don't understand why they didn't give him a longer run. Maybe they should have just held off giving him the belt altogether till they were ready to actually put it on him. That's fine, but just his work for the better part of the year, lighting the Fiend on fire was great. I laughed my ass off so much. But Randy, he had a career year. Like, he legitimately has had a career year. So I had to put him on the list, but I knew I had to keep him low because the first half of the year was great up till SummerSlam, Night of Champions, but that kind of dragged on, and then you had a little bit with The Fiend. So yeah, I think Randy definitely is one of the best of the year 2020. So that's just my opinion, and I guess I'm sticking to it. Moving on to number 7. And at number 7, and I don't know how many people watch Impact Wrestling, Deonna Purrazzo. Now, this was a lady who was signed to NXT, and they weren't doing really anything with her. They weren't. But she left and was happy when they did the cuts on, what do we call it? Black Wednesday is what they were calling it. When they did the cuts, WWE, because, cost-cutting measures, we're going to let all this talent go. Deonna Purrazzo was one of those people, but she was actually happy. She was actually happy that it happened. And then this woman went and signed with Impact Wrestling. Well, I don't know if she signed yet. But she went to Impact Wrestling and on her first match became their Knockouts champion. And she has held that belt pretty much since then, with the small little period where Su Yung won the championship. But that was to help further a story for Su Yung. And that was good. But she has been the Knockouts champ, having fantastic matchups. Having great matchups with Jordynne Grace, with Su Yung, with others. Taya Valkyrie. Her match with Rosemary was really good. She has been the absolute best female competitor in Impact Wrestling. Without a doubt. And if you're not watching Impact, you really should. Yeah, they got some silly storylines, but so does WWE. So does AEW. Every company has something that's kind of like, that's funny. But she has been fantastic in that ring. It sucks that NXT didn't know what they had in her. That they didn't do better with her. She could have been one of the faces of their women's division. Without a doubt. It just sucks. All right, so moving on to number 6. Some people might not agree with me putting him on this list at all. But this is a man who at one point we thought could have been the world champion. It's just not quite his time. But I believe in 2021, Adam Hangman Page will be AEW world champion. But they're building him there. They're taking the side route. They're removing him from Omega. I believe he's the man who's going to take that championship from him later on in the year. But the man in the year of 2020 made gold being in a thrown together tag team with Kenny Omega. Okay, thrown together maybe not. But the two guys, they weren't a tag team. But they quickly rose the ranks. Had probably 3 of the best matchups all year. Back in February with the Young Bucks. At All Out with FTR. Their match against the freaking Lucha Bros with Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix was amazing. They've had so many great matchups this year. Defending those championships. They were the champs from February all the way up to September, they were great. Adam Page worked his ass off this year. And then just the way they built that story, the character work that those two were having. Adam Page was a big part of that. He is world champion material. Sure, Randy Orton, Deonna Purrazzo, and others could probably be higher than him, but he's one of the faces of AEW. And he is a building block. He is the future of that company, the future of wrestling. I hope he never goes to WWE. You know, one of the best bits with that, what is it, the Canadian Stampede? Or not the Canadian, the Stadium Stampede. Back at Double or Nothing. His bit in the bar with I was going to call him Jack Swagger. With Jake Hager. And then Kenny Omega coming in there, them having the beer and the freaking milk. Like, it was great. The man has been great. Him riding in on the horse, chasing down. I mean, it's great. So, yes, he is on this list for sure. I don't think anyone's going to dispute he should be on the list. They just might not think he should be as high as I'm putting him. But it's okay. It's okay. So, number 5. I'm going to move on. Number 5 on this list, Jon Moxley. I can't do it. How does Justin Roberts do that? Jon. Yeah. Jon Moxley. Oh my God. I love that picture. He's just like, meh. My God, this man, what a great fucking year for Mox, right? The Double or Nothing match with Brody Lee was great. The match with Jericho when he won the championship was great. He had a really good matchup with Brian Cage this year. His matches with Eddie Kingston on both Dynamite and then at the Revolution pay-per-view were great. His match with MJF was great. The man didn't lose this year. I could have ranked him at 4, 3, or even 2. But I feel comfortable with him right there, because he's had a lot of big wins, a lot of high-profile matches, right? He has been the man of this company. And even losing to Kenny back at Winter is Coming, he didn't lose, clean. He had to be beat by nefarious means to lose the championship, right? So he has been built so strong this year and has had such a good title reign. No doubt he's there. And again, he's becoming a dad this year. So I felt really good putting him on this list. And while I'm thinking about it, I know a lot of people are like, man, where's Asuka? Asuka's not on this list. I think Asuka's been great this year. I guess I could have made her an honorable mention, but just while I'm thinking about it, I'm sorry. Asuka's not on the list. And it's not because I don't think Asuka's great. I think Asuka is great, but I don't know. I didn't feel like I justified it enough, I guess. I don't know. People can hate me, throw hate comments. It's cool. Anyways, Jon Moxley, yeah. Great year. Great title run. Best matches, some of the best matchups of the year. That Kenny Omega match at Winter is Coming was freaking great. And how they tied it back in. His promos for the year have been awesome. But he has definitely been one of the highlights of AEW for the entirety of this year. So, of course he's on my list, right? I mean, why wouldn't he be? So, Jon Moxley's 5. But who's number 4? Well, let's find out. Who's number 4 on this list for the best of 2020? Well, it is the man who beat him for that AEW championship. It's Kenny Omega. He's another guy I could have justified moving to 3 or even to 2. Kenny Omega, like I said, started this year with that championship, with that tag team title, with Adam Page, you know, having these fantastic matchups. You know, and he was having a lot of great matchups, you know, as part of the team with Adam Page, but he also was having brilliant matches on his own. The Iron Man match earlier in the year on Dynamite with Pac. Remember that? Fuck yeah, I do. He has been consistent throughout the year. The matches he was having in the Eliminator tournament to get the number one contendership, the one-on-one match he had with Adam Page at All Out to start the show was brilliant. And then, that's just for that. It was like, oh God, he's already a top 10 guy for the year, right? Then he goes and he wins that championship early in December. And then just like that, he flipped wrestling on its head by showing up at Impact Wrestling with that championship. And just like that, the landscape of wrestling changed. He is without a doubt top 5. Without a doubt. I had to put him on this list. And I had to rank him high because no one can deny what Kenny has done. The cleaner's back, sorta. And I know this doesn't affect what happened in 2020, but now what he did in December has now led to a pseudo Bullet Club reunion with him and the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks. It's led to that. So I can tell you already, Kenny Omega is going to be in my best of 2021 list already. Just off of what he's done in the first few weeks of this month. It's amazing. So, my hats to Kenny Omega. My hats to that man. He is undoubtedly one of the best of the year. And his matchups, him being the AEW champ, and then him being the tag team champ as long as he was, and having the matches he had, damn it, he could have been number 2. You'll notice I keep saying no more higher than 2, because the guy who's number 1 clearly should be number 1. But let's move on to number 3. And who is number 3? It's Drew McIntyre. The Scottish psychopath, or whatever you want to call him. Him and his sword running around. We got freaking Highlander happening. Okay, so I mentioned earlier when I was talking about, you know, like Moxley and his real high profile matchups and stuff, but Drew has had probably as many high profile matchups this year, if not a few more. I mean, Randy Orton, his matchup with Bobby Lashley. When was the last time you would honestly sit and say you were interested in a Bobby Lashley match? I'll wait. But I bet you were when he faced him at Extreme Rules. Or what was it? Not Extreme Rules. Was it Extreme Rules? Backlash? Something. I don't know. But him and Lashley, they had a great match, right? Earlier in the year. I can't remember the last time I was into that. But beating Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, winning the Royal Rumble, becoming the face of this company for the better part of the year, he stepped up while Roman Reigns was gone. And he filled that role admirably. Yeah, he had a little bit of a down point in the year when he lost the title to Orton during that whole mess. But then he won the title and went on to have probably a match of the year candidate with Roman Reigns at the Survivor Series last minute. He's been great consistently throughout the year and going into the Rumble this month. Like, Drew, I don't think I'd put him higher than 3, but he's definitely like 3, 4, 5. You know, he's just been great. He's been great all year. And, you know, he was probably one of the first guys to win the Rumble, and people legitimately were like, yes, that's what we want. Could have ended up being Roman, but I think they made the right choice with what they did. So, but yeah, the guy wins the Rumble, goes to WrestleMania, and the main event and wins. I just... What can you say? What can you say? I guess you could say nothing, but I need a drink. I'm down to the last two. And you're probably thinking, okay, I think I know who one of the two are going to be, but who's the other one? Well, number two. Number two, Bayley. Some people may say, wait, you put Bayley over Sasha? Yes, I did. Because while the two were a tandem, everyone was looking at Sasha and everything that Sasha was doing. But we all know Bayley was the standout. Bayley was the glue of that team. And I'm not talking about in a kayfabe sense. I'm not. Just look at the work, the character work Bayley is doing. She became one of the most annoying heels in the company during that stretch of time. Not to mention, she was breaking the record as the champ, consistently keeping that championship. Now, there was a portion, probably from January to around WrestleMania time, it was like, you didn't know what they wanted to do with Bayley. But the pandemic hit, and then her and Sasha, they took off. You know, she's been the women's champion for almost the entirety of the year. She was having really good matchups. She was having good matchups with Nikki Cross. Now, she didn't have like these huge marquee matchups, but just off her character development, you know, seeing how she grew. And then when she had the turn from Sasha, how she made it, you know, feel, how she made you really think like, maybe Sasha kind of deserved this. She's been great. And now she's doing this work with Bianca Belair that she's been doing since December. Like, I can, in my own mind, justify Bayley being as high as number 2. She could have been 5-4, 3-2. Like, she earned this. I think she's been great. I think she's been great with just what she's been doing on the microphone and how she was always like being the friend of Sasha, but still at the same time kind of being a dick towards Sasha, just throwing Sasha in there, and Sasha would be like, oh, okay, I guess so. It's been awesome, and it's been great. Really great work. So, yeah, to me, Bayley is without a doubt number 2. So that leaves me with number 1. Most people probably have already guessed at this point who number 1 actually is going to be. Most people have probably guessed it at this point. But, drum roll please. I suck at drum rolls. Number 1, your head of the table, your tribal chief, your reigning, defending, undisputed, universal heavyweight champion, Roman Reigns. Now, it has been documented in the past that I've never tried to get... I mean, okay, there have been points... WrestleMania 32 is a prime example. I probably shit all over Roman. But, for the most part, I have always tried to maintain a fair look at Roman. Never would come out and outright say I love the guy, but wouldn't say get the fuck off my TV. The first half of this year was still the get off my TV Roman, right? That would be the first half of the year. Then he disappeared, you know, right before WrestleMania. Like the day of the WrestleMania tapings, he's like, you know what? I'm going to go home. My family's more important. So the guy gets an A+ off of me just off of that. You're top 10 if you never came back just for going home, Roman. You'd be an honorable mention. And he was having okay matches prior to WrestleMania. Had a good showing in the Rumble. But when he came back at SummerSlam, he made such an impact. Literally. And I know a lot of people right away were like, fuck, Roman's going to be the Universal Champ again? But then you saw him with Paul Heyman. And you're like, wait, this is different. Wait, are they actually going to turn him heel? Are they? And they made you wait. They made you think, well, yeah, maybe. You saw him with Paul Heyman. They put him in the match at Payback a week after SummerSlam. And you're like, shit. The Fiend, he just won the championship, right? What the hell? And then he never showed his face in that match. And then he showed up at the end. The ring was destroyed. And he came in and won the championship like a dick. But they still wouldn't tell you if he was a heel. He was just taking an opportunity, right? And then all the stuff with Jey Uso started. And you're like, oh, wait a second. This is pretty good. This whole, family head of the table, I provide. All that stuff he was doing with Jey Uso made him look like a royal dick. And finally, Roman's true colors came through. And ever since that stuff with Jey Uso has happened, they have booked this man perfectly. Why can't we get like 10 Romans on this show, right? Roman Reigns has been, without a doubt, the best thing on WWE TV all year. Going and facing Drew. His condescending, better than you attitude. The way he talked down to people, looked down to people. But then he's still backing it up in the ring. His match at Clash of Champions with Jey was amazing. It wasn't a great match, but the story was great. The Hell in a Cell match to open the show was great. That story has been great. He has been a great storyteller. Just facial expressions, the way he talks to people, talks down to them. And he'll go from being real mellow to almost like ready to rip your head off. You're afraid he's going to murder a person. That's how great he's been. Yeah, he is my number one on this list. No, it's not been great in-ring work, but this man should be Universal Champion from now till WrestleMania next year. They have built in a story. If they ever brought The Rock back, you'd be on board with it like that. There'd be no arguments. It'd be like, oh yeah, this definitely makes sense. And his whole head of the table, wreck everyone and leave. His merch has been great. None of this big dog t-shirts, this is my yard. No, wreck everyone, leave. Show up, win, leave. Head of the table. The whole tribal chief thing has been awesome. And he's slowly changing things about his character. From his attitude to the look. He got rid of that fucking goofy vest. And he's even said, eventually, theme music will change. His overall presentation is going to change. His gauntlet now like gold. It's like a gold gauntlet. And I like it. It's a subtle change, but it's good. It's not a big thing, but it's good. Everything about Roman has been gold since he returned. Even got new teeth. He has been the best part, and it's still getting better. Please don't put him against Goldberg at Mania. Unless he's going to destroy Goldberg in like 2 seconds, just like Drew should do at the Rumble. I have never been so sure about a number one. Like, even before I put this list together, I was like, circle Roman. Number one. Easy. Everything else was like, I don't know. What do I do? But that, I had no doubt. He was number one. But that is my best of 2020 list. And I think it's a good list. I really do. But I want to know your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think? Who's your number one? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Who's your number two? Throw your own top 10 list down in the comments below. I'd love to see them. No hate, guys. There's enough hate in this world. It's just a list. It doesn't hurt nobody. All right? But I'd love to hear your guys' lists, your thoughts. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Would you rank people differently? Have a pleasant debate down in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit that like button, and share it with your friends. Become part of the nation. Join our stuff. Social media, both sides. Join us there. One more little bit of house cleaning while I'm thinking about it. My Retro Rewind last week was taken down by WWE for, I don't know, I guess the clip of Drew Carey jumping out of the ring was something they just couldn't take. So that video was taken down. So when I do the next Retro Rewind on the 29th, I will be re-uploading that video the same day, later in the evening, when my Royal Rumble 2000... I forgot which one I'm doing. But when my Retro Rewind for that day goes up, later in that day, my Royal Rumble 2001 will go back up. Yeah, that's what I meant. So probably no more clips with the wrestling videos because WWE keeps striking those videos. This is the first one. It's been deleted. It's been taken from everyone worldwide. So it will be re-uploaded. You guys will be able to see it then. So anyways, times are crazy. Love one another and be kind. There's no reason to fight over wrestling or movies. Just be nice to each other. So stay safe, stay healthy, and for the love of all, above all else, join the nation. Be good to each other, guys. Have a good day. YOBRONATION! Join us at TeePublic.com/YOBRONATION for our all-new merch lineup like the Recess Still Ain't Old, the YOBRONATION Entertainment t-shirt, the Sidekick Susie Stranger Things shirt. It's a pretty sweet shirt. The YOBRONATION swirly shirt. How about I Love Yo Face Sidekick Susie t-shirt? Ooh. Or the Rainbow Sidekick Susie shirt. Yeah. Also, this exclusive limited time offer, we got a Forever Serenity special sale! Look at that. Isn't that pretty cool? I think it's pretty awesome. Hope for Ambi special sale. Help support a friend who really needs the help. 3 different t-shirt designs. We got the Hope for Ambi Black Angel t-shirt. The Hope for Ambi Do You Want to Beat Up Cancer t-shirt. Wow, that's pretty nice. So yes, shop with us now at teepublic.com/YOBRONATION. Get all your shirts. Stay safe, stay healthy, and above else, join the nation.